Welcome back to another trade recap. Today we took an L across 4 accounts. I'll go over it more later, but I have 1 funded and then 3 evals going right now, and so I took a loss across all of them. Alright, but yeah, let's get into what happened this morning and how I took the loss. Price action was pretty good today. It was a little choppy, but pretty solid for the most part. So, going into New York Open, we were in discount of the daily range from the day before. And let me pull this up actually. Yeah, and going into New York Open, we also swept Asia and London lows. So going into the morning, I was bullish. We had this range here, this OT range that we were expecting. We tapped into it and we're moving up higher. And then here is New York Open right here. This could have been a solid entry, this OTE right here, and this fair value gap, you could have entered and then boom, just went up. But I was initially waiting for this 15-minute to get inversed and then retapped. That's what I was waiting for the entry on, but that never happened. And then, before we knew it, we took out highs on NQ and didn't take out highs on ES. So we had this SMT right here, and that's when I switched my bias to shorts. So we had this manipulation leg, I draw this change in state right here. That's what my initial entry was on, was in the retap of this change in state. That was too early of an entry. It would have been way better if I entered off this OTE, but in the moment I was super confident in how price was moving and that we were gonna move down lower off just the retap right here. Obviously that did not happen, and we had a bigger drawback into the change in state range, tapping into this OTE as well as this inverse gap right here, and that's what we initially moved lower off of. Something that I should have remembered this morning was, if you're dealing with a huge change in state range, which is this box I'm drawing out right here, it's the body of the candles of the manipulation leg, that's the change in state. Holy shit, bro, this fucking magnet's eating my dick. That's the range right here. This would have been equilibrium. But if you're dealing with a huge range like this is, if I draw it out, it's about 100 points, 400 something ticks. That's huge, right? And you can expect price to retrace higher into the range of the change in state since it's such high volatility. And that's what I should have remembered this morning. I should have remembered that I should be patient and wait for a higher pullback instead of just entering right when we tapped into the change in state. So that's where I messed up. Otherwise, I also wasn't super confident entering right here off this OTE tap. That would have been a really great entry, but wasn't super confident. I was really waiting for the change in state. But yeah, that's basically what went wrong. It was mainly the timing and the fact that I forgot that super crucial thing is that wait for a pullback on huge change in states. If it's a smaller range, not as volatile, sure, enter off right when we tap into the change in state. That makes more sense. But when you're dealing with super volatile ranges like this, 400 points, just wait. Either wait for it to tap equilibrium with the change in state or wait for it to tap some sort of PD array, which could have been this OTE or this inverse gap right here. So that would have been a really good entry. Just kind of entered too early. So yeah, that was the trade this morning. Some other things I want to go over is where I'm currently at right now in terms of trading. I'm really just working on the scaling part of trading and the consistency, because I've been able to get payouts on one funded, but now I'm just really trying to emphasize on the consistency and get up to that level of discipline that it takes to be able to scale up to multiple accounts and trade multiple accounts, making larger scales of money. And that's just what I'm really working on, because I was able to take my first payout about 3 months ago, but since then, I've been able to still get payouts, but I feel like I've just been having so much little mistakes that have been holding me back from really seeing the full extent of my profitability. And those mistakes are often stemming from, breaking my rules, or maybe my psychology is affecting my decision making on the charts. And yes, I've been able to still pull out payouts, but I just know I can do better. And I know that I can scale properly, right? Like in January, I got a few more accounts, blew all those. I didn't blow my funded, right? And then my other funded, but I just couldn't pass the evals, and it's because I was trying to rush it. I was trying to rush the process, and that definitely made me break some of my rules more and trade more recklessly. And it's something that I struggle with even like the most recent weeks. In the last like month or so, I've been struggling with being break even and then seeing some profit and then, you know, losing more than I'm making, and then that's what's hindering me progressing even more, or as much as I should, because trading should be about limiting your losses and making sure your wins are always bigger than your losses. That's how you stay consistently profitable. And so that's what I've been working on the most. And something that really changed something in my thought process is that making sure you're not carrying the same mistakes from last week into the next week, and that many people forget to stay conscious of these mistakes, whether they're big mistakes or little ones, right? People forget to stay conscious and constantly be aware of them moving on to the next week or even the day, right? And that's something that I've been doing. Like, I've been making the same mistakes, and I haven't been actively thinking about erasing those mistakes going into the next week, right? And that's something I really need to work on, is going into every morning, I need to think about what did I do wrong last week or even the day before, and what can I do now, today, in this trading day, to make sure that that never happens again. And I need to constantly be thinking about it, because I feel like I always forget in the moment while I'm trading that, oh, I forgot I made this mistake, or I did this wrong, or I broke this rule, and I ended up just going with it because I forgot that that's what I did wrong last week, and it's not something that I'm like actually thinking about while I'm on the charts. And I feel like for the last couple months, that's what's really been hindering my progress, is the fact that I will break a rule or two because I just forget. Like, I'm not thinking about constantly improving myself every single week, every single day. Like, I need to consciously think. And so hopefully that makes sense to someone. And if you're in the same boat as me, you're able to get through this as well. But yeah, hopefully you're able to get something out of this, learn something new. And I'll be back later this week with a different trade recap. But yeah, that's all I got for today. So peace.